1954. A bedroom in Indiana, 2 twin beds, 18 inches apart. Matching chenille bedspreads from the Sears catalog. A wife in a cotton nightgown buttoned to the chin. Her husband in striped pajamas on the other bed. The lamp clicks off. Neither one reaches across the gap. They have been married 11 years. They will be married 40 more. They will never once discuss what happens in this room with anyone. 25. Secrets of a 1950s marriage lived behind doors like this one, never said out loud. Things couples endured every day and never said out loud. Most of them have vanished from memory entirely. Number 25. Many brides in the 1940s and 50s arrived at their wedding night with almost no understanding of what would happen. Mothers did not explain it. Schools did not teach it. A girl was expected to figure it out in real time with a man she had married 12 hours earlier. A copy of Ideal Marriage by Theodoor van de Velde got passed between sisters with a bookmark in Chapter 5. A honeymoon at a motor court on Route 66, $5 a night. A new nightgown from J.C. Penney still folded in tissue paper. A girl who had been told your husband will know what to do. And a boy who very often did not. She learned the most private thing about adult life from a near stranger in a rented room. That was considered perfectly normal. And nobody checked on her the next morning, but whatever happened that first night, by the next morning a new rule was already in effect. And it started before her husband opened his eyes. Number 24. Wives set an alarm for 5 or 5:30 in the morning. They washed their face, applied powder and lipstick, and styled their hair before their husband saw them. He was never supposed to see her without her face on. Pond's cold cream to remove last night's residue. A pat of Coty air-spun powder at 79 cents. Tangy lipstick in a gold tube. Pin curls taken out and brushed smooth behind a locked bathroom door while the house was still dark. He woke to a wife who looked as though she had simply always been that way. She gave herself to the marriage before sunrise every day. He never knew the effort. That was the whole point. And the bed she climbed out of at 5 in the morning was probably not the one her husband was sleeping in. Number 23. Matching twin beds in a shared bedroom were the default sleeping arrangement for married couples through the 1950s. One bed was considered lower class or too intimate. Simmons Beauty Rest twins advertised in Life magazine. $89 for the pair in 1952. Matching maple headboards with an 18-inch gap and a shared nightstand. Hollywood enforced it through the Hays Code. Lucy and Ricky Ricardo slept in separate beds. Rob and Laura Petrie the same. Respectable couples slept apart. The distance between those two beds was the width of a nightstand. But for many couples, it was the width of everything they never learned how to say. And in a marriage built around that kind of distance, intimacy did not happen by accident. It happened on a schedule. Number 22. In many households, physical intimacy between husband and wife happened on Saturday night, not discussed, not negotiated, simply understood. The bath drawn after the children were in bed. The particular quiet of a house after 9 on a Saturday. Dr. Abraham Stone's A Marriage Manual encouraged once a week as a healthy frequency. Church came the next morning. The reset. It was not passion. It was rhythm, like church on Sunday or groceries on Thursday. And for many wives, it was something to be endured rather than anticipated. She never said so, not to anyone. That Saturday night rhythm was built around a house that ran on invisible rules. And the most visible symbol of those rules sat in the living room, and nobody else was allowed to touch it. Number 21. The husband had a chair. It was his. No one else sat in it, not the wife, not the children, not the guests. A lazy boy recliner positioned for the best view of the Philco television. The evening paper folded on the arm. A Schlitz sweating on a coaster. He sat in that chair from the moment he came home until he went to bed, the cushion shaped to his body over the years. The dog was sometimes permitted at his feet. The children were not. That chair was a throne he never had to claim out loud. Everyone already knew. It said everything about the power in that marriage that the couple never did. 5 secrets in, and a pattern is already forming. None of these rules were written anywhere. Nobody handed a bride a manual on her wedding day that said sleep in separate beds, wake before he does, and give him the best chair. These things were absorbed from mothers, from magazine columns, from watching other marriages through kitchen windows. The 1950s marriage had a constitution. It was just never printed. And nowhere was that unwritten constitution more precise than at the dinner table, specifically at 6 o'clock. Number 20. A wife was expected to have a full hot meal on the table the exact moment her husband walked through the door. Not 10 minutes later, not almost done. Ready. Meatloaf or pot roast, mashed potatoes from scratch, Del Monte green beans at 19 cents a can. The table set with Melmac dinnerware. Ice water poured. She timed it backward from the sound of his car in the driveway. 5:45, the oven opened. 6 o'clock, he sat down. If the meal was late, it reflected on her. Not on traffic. Not on the children, her. Dinner was not nutrition. It was a performance review she passed every single night. Number 19. She ironed everything. His dress shirts, his trousers, his undershirts, his handkerchiefs. In many homes, she ironed his boxer shorts and the bed sheets too. A General Electric steam iron at $8.95. A sprinkle bottle made from a glass Coca-Cola bottle with a cork sprinkler top. The hiss of steam on damp cotton. The starch smell from a can of Faultless. She ironed for 2 hours on a Tuesday while the radio played Ma Perkins. A wrinkled shirt walking out the front door told the neighborhood she was not keeping up. The iron was not a tool. It was her reputation pressed flat with every stroke. Number 18. The husband brought home the paycheck. He cashed it on Friday. He handed his wife a set amount for groceries and household expenses. $30 to $45 a week in 1955 for a working-class family. She kept the cash in an envelope in the kitchen drawer, sometimes divided into smaller envelopes marked groceries, electric, milkman. In many homes, she did not know the total amount of his paycheck. If the price of chuck roast went up 5 cents a pound at the A&P, she adjusted everything else. She ran a household on a budget she did not set from a paycheck she never saw, and she made it work every single week. But she was not nearly as powerless as that arrangement made her appear, because almost every wife in America was keeping a secret of her own. Number 17. Wives skimmed small amounts from the grocery money and hid the cash. Every woman had a spot. A rolled $5 bill inside the flour canister. Coins in a mason jar behind the canned peaches. A $10 bill pressed flat inside the Betty Crocker picture cookbook. Some women sewed bills into the hem of a winter coat. Others hid money in a sanitary napkin box, the one place a man would never look. She called it her emergency fund. But the emergency she was saving for was the possibility that someday she might need to leave. Every wife hoped she would never spend it. Most never did. Today, financial advisors call this a freedom fund. Your grandmother built hers with nickels and dimes hidden behind a box of Bisquick. Number 16. If a married woman worked outside the home, the neighborhood read it one way. Her husband could not provide. The median household income in 1955 was just under $5,000 a year. One income, his. A woman could work before marriage: secretary, nurse, telephone operator. But once she married, she came home. Classified ads in the newspaper separated jobs by sex. Help wanted male. Help wanted female. A woman's talent was supposed to disappear inside a marriage, not because she had none, because admitting she needed to use it would humiliate the man she married. 10 secrets in, notice what is happening. Everyone so far has to do with control. Who sits where? Who holds the money? Who sets the clock? Who decides if she works or stays? But the word control was never used inside these houses. These couples called it respect. They called it the way things are. They called it tradition. The vocabulary to name it differently had not been invented yet, and for millions of women, it would not arrive for another 20 years. That silence reached far beyond the kitchen and the paycheck. It extended into the most private rooms of the house and the most private corners of the marriage. Number 15. A wife did not correct or challenge her husband in front of other people. If he told a story wrong at a dinner party, she smiled. If he volunteered her to bake 3 dozen cookies for the school fundraiser without asking, she nodded. Emily Post's Etiquette made it plain. A wife's loyalty to her husband in public was absolute. Disagreement was a private matter. She held her tongue so many times she forgot what her own opinion sounded like in a room full of people. But the marriage survived because the neighbors never saw a crack. Number 14. When a husband and wife fought, it happened after the children were asleep, in the bedroom, in voices barely above a whisper. The television off by 10, the door pulled shut. Then the sharp, controlled argument that sometimes lasted an hour. A husband who turned his back. A wife who stared at the ceiling. A child down the hall hearing nothing but sensing everything. They kept their voices low because admitting the marriage had conflict felt the same as admitting it had failed. So they whispered, and the children still knew. Number 13. Crying in front of her husband was seen as manipulation or weakness. So wives cried alone. In the bathroom with the faucet running. In the backyard hanging laundry with her face turned from the window. In the car at the A&P 2 minutes before walking in to buy groceries. At the kitchen sink after everyone had gone to bed, a dish towel pressed against her mouth. She was allowed to feel everything. She was just never allowed to show it. She held that line so long, her own children believed she never cried at all. Number 12. A wife had almost no acceptable way to decline physical intimacy. The headache became the universal excuse because it could not be argued with or disproved. 2 Bayer aspirin on the nightstand beside a glass of water. Left in plain sight as the signal. Advice columns in McCall's urged wives to be available at all times. The guide Fascinating Womanhood called Refusing a Failure of Femininity. A headache was the one complaint he could not see and could not challenge. She could not say no. She could only say, not tonight. And even that required a medical excuse. The headache was not a lie. It was the only door she was given. Number 11. Husbands and wives did not use the bathroom in front of each other. The door was always closed and often locked. One bathroom in most houses built before 1960. She went first in the morning. He went after. Airwick freshener on the back of the toilet at 29 cents. A wife did not mention her monthly cycle. A husband did not reference his own body. They shared a home, a life, and children, but the bathroom door was a border neither ever crossed. Privacy was the last dignity the marriage offered, and neither was willing to surrender it. 15 secrets deep, these marriages were held together by structure the way a house is held together by its framing. You never see the 2x4 whores inside the wall. You just know the walls are straight. The couples who lived inside these rules did not experience them as oppression. They experienced them as stability. The rules were the floor they stood on, and the floor did not move beneath them. That was the entire point. But structure alone does not explain how a woman survived decades inside a system that asked her to be invisible. She needed something else, and she found it in places no one talks about. Number 10. Wives wore full-length nightgowns to bed every single night, cotton or nylon, often buttoned to the collar. A Lands of Salzburg gown or a Vanity Fair from the Sears catalog at $3.49. Sleeves to the wrist, hem to the ankle. The gown went on after the nightly routine and came off in the morning when she dressed. A husband saw his wife in a nightgown more than in any other garment. He saw her in anything less almost never. The nightgown was not modesty. It was armor, the last layer between a woman and a marriage that owned everything else about her. Number 9. Many housewives poured a drink in the afternoon. A highball around 4 o'clock. Not considered a problem. Considered getting through the day. Seagram's 7 and 7 Up. A splash of Old Crow bourbon over ice. Gilby's gin at $2.65 a fifth. Consumed alone at the kitchen table while folding laundry. No husband home to see it. The bottle kept under the sink or above the refrigerator. She was not an alcoholic. She was a woman with no therapist, no career, no language for what she felt, and one quiet hour before the school bus came back. The glass was the only thing in the house that asked nothing of her. Number 8. By the late 1950s, tranquilizers were the most prescribed medication in America. The primary patients were housewives. Milltown arrived in 1955. Within 2 years, 1 in 20 Americans was taking it. Then Librium. Then Valium in 1963, the most prescribed drug in the country by the end of that decade. The family doctor wrote the prescription without hesitation. Anxiety, restlessness, dissatisfaction, all treated with the same small tablet. The Rolling Stones recorded Mother's Little Helper in 1966 about these pills. That song was not satire, it was journalism. She was not sick, she was trapped. And the medical establishment decided the answer was not to open the door, but to make her stop, noticing it was locked. Number 7. In many homes, a wife asked her husband before making any change to her appearance. A shorter cut, a different color. His opinion was expected and usually final. A Saturday appointment at the beauty parlor, $1.75 for a shampoo and set. But before she called, she mentioned it at dinner. I was thinking about going shorter. If he said he liked it the way it was, the appointment became a trim. McCall's ran a feature in 1954 advising wives to keep the style their husband preferred. Her hair grew from her own head, but it belonged to the marriage, and the marriage had opinions. Number 6. A spotless home was not a preference. It was a public verdict. Any neighbor or relative could stop by unannounced. The condition of the house was a direct judgment on the wife. Johnson's paste wax on the floors at 79 cents. Windex on every glass surface. Comet in the sink. A mother-in-law who ran a finger along the top of the doorframe was not a joke. That happened. A Good Housekeeping survey from 1956 found the average housewife spent 55 hours a week on household labor. More than her husband worked at the plant. The house was not where she lived. It was where she was graded, and the inspector could walk in without warning at any moment. Number 5. Couples who wanted to understand the physical side of marriage had one resource: a book, hidden where no guest would find it. Ideal Marriage by Theodoor van de Velde, first published in English in 1930. Frank discussions of anatomy written in medical language that gave permission to read without shame. These books were purchased face down on the counter at the bookstore, carried home in a paper bag, slid into the bottom drawer of the nightstand under a Bible or a stack of Reader's Digest. The only teacher they had was a book they could never let anyone see them reading. Two people building an intimate life with a hidden manual and no one to ask if they were doing it right. Number 4. Marriage counseling barely existed in the 50s. The American Association of Marriage Counselors had fewer than 300 members in 1950. Most were clergy. A wife in crisis talked to her mother, her sister, the pastor at church, or no one. Ann Landers received 10,000 letters a week by the mid-50s. Most were from women describing marriages they could not fix and could not leave. She had nowhere to bring the weight, so she carried it alone. Year after year. And the marriage survived not because it was good, but because there was no exit and no witness. Number 3. A wife did not discuss the inside of her marriage with anyone, not her mother, not her closest friend, not her sister at the kitchen table. The marriage was a sealed room. If he drank too much on a Friday, she poured it out and said nothing Saturday. If he raised his voice, she lowered hers. If the bedroom was difficult, she told no one. Every woman understood the rule from the time she was a girl. You do not air dirty laundry. The neighbors must never suspect. The children must never hear. She held the family's secrets inside her body like a second skeleton. And she smiled at the neighbor over the fence the next morning. That was not weakness. It was the hardest work she ever did. Number 2. Many husbands of that generation never said the words out loud, not once in 50 years. Love was demonstrated with hands and back, not announced in a sentence. He got up at 5:30 and drove to the plant 6 days a week for 30 years. He mowed the lawn every Saturday. He fixed the screen door without being asked. He built a bookshelf in the den by hand. He drove her mother to the doctor every third Wednesday. He put snow tires on her car in October before she mentioned it. He sat beside her in the waiting room when the test results came back. He never once said the 3 words. His generation did not speak love. They built it, they hammered it, and drove it to work in the dark before the sun came up. And she knew what every act meant. She always knew. And every night, no matter what had happened during the day, the proof of that came one final time. Number 1. Every night, without exception, whether they had argued over money, whether neither one had spoken since breakfast, whether the marriage felt like an empty house they both still lived in. The husband and wife kissed goodnight before the lamp went out. A brief kiss, dry lips, the faint taste of Colgate toothpaste, nothing romantic, nothing performed. A ritual, same as locking the front door, the last gesture before the day ended. She on her twin bed, he on his. One of them leaned across the gap in the dark, every night for 10,000 nights. Through pregnancies and money trouble and the long, quiet years when the marriage felt like a habit they could not break. That kiss held more marriages together than any therapist or self-help book ever has. It was not passion. It was a promise renewed with the body when the mouth had no words left. And it said the same thing every night. I am still here. We are still this. And somewhere tonight, in a small house with the porch light on, an old woman is lying in the dark in a bed that has been empty on the other side for 3 years now. She reaches over to the nightstand and turns off the lamp the same way she has done for 50 years. And just before she closes her eyes, her hand drifts to the empty pillow beside her. She does not cry. She never did, where anyone could see. But her fingers rest there for just a moment in the dark. And the lesson of a 1950s marriage, the whole of it, lives right there, in that hand, on that pillow.